absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have a successful run and make it all the way to the end. But for some crazy reason, you know, that just doesn't seem to work out that way.
I think I know why.
And I know
But
why.
let's before we get to where we are now and how things work,
Yeah,
I want to backtrack just a little bit and talk about how you started this. Like, what brought this idea into your head, and how do you go about creating this type of extreme hunt? Like the first year, how was that executed, with this being something that probably no one was used to seeing? How did you go about creating what became now known as the most extreme hunt in the world?
well, I'm just, I mean, cut and dry, long story short, I'm just an entertainer. I love to entertain, regardless whether it be, singing, playing the guitar, being in a band, acting, comedy, my wedding DJ stuff. I mean, how scary can a wedding DJ guy be, right? So I just like to entertain. And nothing is cooler than putting on a big play. And that's all anybody that does haunted houses knows. It's just putting on a play, putting on a show. It's building sets, building props. It's just designing and thinking this crazy stuff up and seeing if it's going to work and how it's going to pan out. It's just a big show. So I've always been doing this since I was a little guy, and it started when I was a little guy doing trick or treating with my dad. Taking me out to all these different little houses that had extra goodies out there and doing cool stuff. And I thought, man, that's really wicked. So I was hooked when I was 4 or 5 years old, and it didn't matter where I was. I could be in a one-bedroom apartment. I could be on a Navy ship. I was in the Navy for 23 years, and 17 of those years I was out to sea, floating around, and that's a lot of floating. And so I was actually doing haunts on board ship. So it didn't matter where I was always putting together a haunted house. And then it's just a matter of improving throughout the years, and I've always kind of went outside the bubble. I've always did my own thing. I never liked just your basic straight haunted house. I mean, I like those haunted houses, but for me, I always thought outside the bubble. I wanted to do something interactive, very cinematic. I want to make people feel like they're in a movie, and I've always just strove for that. And that's not a real word, strove. How was strived? And I'm very tired. I just woke up. You can tell. Very,
I know the
very
feeling.
attractive right now. Need to shave.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, I'm really prepped for this right now. But
you look fantastic.
not like I forgot or anything. I didn't forget, but here I am. And so I've just always been that guy to create and do this wild stuff. And year after year, you have to make things bigger and better, and you can't go back and rest on your laurels. You have to keep on going. And the haunt is just kind of a natural involvement and progression of where it should be. After all these years of doing McKamey Manor, it would be now at the extreme level. It's just kind of where it has to be. Next year after that, or 5 years down the road, I don't know what's going to happen, because it's pretty extreme right now. But this is kind of a natural evolution of where I would be in the haunt world after doing haunts my whole life, and that's kind of how I started.
So it's not getting like easier to get through. It's getting harder from where it originally started. Right?
Yeah, it's much harder now. Yeah, it's much harder. I can tell you that on the physicality level, it's much easier. That's why I actually lowered the age requirements to 18. So physicality wise, again, if you're watching the old movies, everybody's like, pushing you around and shoving on you and throwing you. That's not what it is. It's just you and me, and just not letting me get inside your noggin. So on a psychological level, it's much more frightening. And trust me, getting yelled at and pushed around, after a few minutes, you get numb of that, and that's not really scary. But what I do to someone's noggin, the way I can get inside your head, I'm not lying to you, that's scary. And that's the reason why the record for the new shows out here in Tennessee is 0 seconds. No one's lasted a second. So there's magic to what I do. What's that?
I feel like you're getting in my head now.
Oh, no. This is the fun side of Russ. This is the lovable good guy Russ. But when the sun goes down, this guy goes away, and then you're going to have somebody else. And what I want people to think is that there's no way Russ can do that. That's impossible. Russ cannot get in my head. Russ can't use hypnosis on me. He can't use mind control. That's just BS. He's lying to me. Well, I want you to think that, because after the show is over, I want you to evaluate what happened to you, and you'll have no clue what happened. You'll be out of it. I have to decompress with you. Now, if you've watched that movie Extinction, you saw that woman,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
cuddling her water bottle, thinking it's her baby. Well, how do you think that happens? You know, because I
That
get inside people's noggins. That's what I do. That's how
that
I
gave me
win.
that gave me nightmares. That was a that was a hard one to I mean, I can't imagine being in her place, because I'm a big wimp. I can just admit that. I would, like I said, I wouldn't last the van ride over there. But the question I have is, when you say that people last 0 seconds in the new attraction, what are they doing to where they get to that 0? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the lead into where they would get to 1 second? Because obviously they're going to go in something and do something.
Right. So the the show starts again early in the morning when the birds are singing, the kids are playing in the street, and the dogs are barking. It's all sunshine and rainbows. It's a great thing, And literally, we have barbecues and fans come out and watch the daytime activities, and that's called Holly's Boot Camp, the Gauntlet, whatever you want to call it. And again, that's where we just play the game, because McKamey Manor is a game, and you want to earn these fail cards. A fail card is what's going to make you either successful or not inside the manor. And every time you fulfill something that I need done, then you get a fail card, or you lose a fail card. And you want to have at least 10 of these fail cards going into the real show. So everybody will do crazy, strange assignments even before the tour begins. There'll be this gal, who's coming to the tour on Saturday. She'll have a week to do these crazy live feed assignments, whether it be dancing with 5 strangers, a ballroom dance, and she has to dance 5 minutes with each person. She's got to find 5 McKamey Manor haters, have a big conversation. She's got to interview my best friend Scott Franks, who's the county commissioner, the one who calls McKamey Manor a torture house, a fetish house. I love these guys. So I give them all kinds of crazy things they got to do, and that's how you earn these fail cards. And so when you get here, your job is to continue to earn cards, and the more cards you get, the more successful you're going to be at the tour. And so that's what happens during the daytime. Just a lot of fun and games, laughing, playing. And it's all live fed too. You can go to my Facebook page, Russ McKamey, and watch all of that live and just be part of it. And it's goofy and silly, and you're going to watch that going this is ridiculous. This isn't scary. You're right. It's not scary, but it's how I'm going to judge what you can handle when the things get real, and things will get real when the sun goes down. Now, when the sun goes down, the whole vibe of the show changes, and that's when you're going to be doing tougher activities. So the haunt is broken up into tasks, stunts, and breakers. A task is doing something as simple as following directions, not cussing, doing the contract the correct way, just doing silly stuff. That's a task. A task will not get you booted from the game. All that's going to happen is you'll lose a fail card, and you'll lose $500 each time you lose a fail card. No big deal. A stunt is something a little bit more inventive, a little bit tougher to do, a little more challenging. But again, before you ever do any of these stunts or whatever, I'm going to tell you exactly what they are, how to do it, what the trick is behind it. So you're going to have all the ammunition you want to succeed. Now, in saying that, the clock starts for a person when they start their first stunt. So even though they're there all day long or eating hamburgers and hot dogs, that's not going to count towards your time. The time starts, for example, I usually start out with something simple like the rat race. A rat race is this gigantic football field worth of a human rat race where you're going to go in there and become a little rat, and you're going to have to find real rats. And so there's an actual section of that you're going to go into, and you're going to find where all these little nice mice and rats are at. You're going to slide down this plexiglass container. You're going to pull a key. Once you pull the key, then a teeter board is going to fall on top of you, and literally about 5,000 rodents will be completely covering you from head to toe, and that's when your time starts.
Hell
So
no.
you actually have, oh, it's not too bad. There's cuddly and fuzzy. And that's why you wear the proper
Mm.
equipment too. We keep you protected. That's why you wear a onesie, so that way the little critters aren't getting inside your outfit. You wear clothes underneath it. We give you concussion helmets. You're wearing vision protection, hearing protection. You don't want stuff crawling in your ears. You want your skin covered up, but gloves. I mean, you know all this. I mean, you are well protected before you go in. But that's when your time would start, is when you grab that first key to mosey on to the rest of the maze. So that's a real simplified version, but people get so freaked out in just trying to get to that point that they just quit. They give up. And there is a safe phrase. People, for a lot of years there wasn't, but for the last couple of years, I actually make you take a safe phrase whether you want it or not, because once you say it, it's game over. It's done. Show's over. Stops. We decompress you and make sure you're okay. And so that's why I say everybody will be okay. You're not gonna die. Well, we have had one serious injury here, but we don't like to talk about that. But things can happen, and that's why I'm so selective on who takes the tour. You just don't walk up to it. You've got to be physically screened. You got to get doctor's letters. You have to have a letter from a psychiatrist. You have to do background checks. You have to get a sports physical, proof of medical insurance. You got to do a drug screening. You got to go through 2 different interviews. You got to do a 50-page waiver. I mean, you really got to want to do this to do this. And people fly in from all around the world. I mean, it's crazy. There's a huge amount of people trying to get in. So we can be very selective. We can't take hotheads. We have to take people that are educated, psychologically strong, because we don't want somebody getting hurt. And injuries can happen. And injuries happen when people are not smart enough to know when they've had enough. You have to be able to promise me that when it's time, when the time is over, when you've had enough fun at McKamey Manor and it's just, fun meters pegged, you got to let me know, because I don't know what's going on inside your head. Only you know that. So I need people that are smart enough to say, yeah, I don't want to die here. I'm going to let you know when it's time to go home. And so it's a very selective process.
Yeah. Do you have any?
And yes,
I don't have a ton.
I just said we have had one death here, and we don't want that to happen ever again. That was horrible.
Wait, what?
Okay, wait, you can't just drop that.
Yeah, you said that so nonchalantly. What death? What death are we speaking of?
It's pretty common knowledge. The activities that you're going to do are real. This is a real place. So this one lady that came here last year, she wasn't honest with her evaluation. She forged her medical letters. She did not tell us that she had heart issues. And when she was doing the 200-yard underwater swim, the maze with live caimans, because you will be swimming with alligators. One bit her. She panicked and she got wrapped up and she drowned. So people need to realize this is the kind of stuff you're doing. This is not some little joke. You're going to be swimming with live alligators. You're going to be buried 12 feet underground. You're going to be hung upside down in a chamber with live moray. You're going to be inside a cremation device, an incinerator, and you're going to be lit on fire. These are just some of the easier things. You're going to be doing. You'll be doing a 2.5 mile zip line that you're going 55 miles an hour on. That's electrified, and you're going to buzz off. You're going to fall off of it, even though you can take the path you want to go. You're going to do a 250-foot bungee jump. You're going to be inside an escape room. That floor is going to fall out from underneath you, and you're going to go 250 free fall into the water, and you're going to need to do a task once you hit the water. But you got to understand, this is epic, big scale stuff. This is not like a little boo haunted house. This stuff takes acres and acres to produce. That's why this is like nothing else in the world, and that's why people have a hard time getting through it. This is not for the average run-of-the-mill Joe or Jane. That I can promise you.
I am look, I knew it was extreme, okay? I didn't know it was like that. I feel like Are you being 100% serious when